Today, I'm gonna show you how I took this blue Spiderman Welcome Deck, added $25 worth of cards to create this Bracket 2 Commander deck. So months ago at San Diego Comic-Con, they gave out these welcome decks. There were 5 of them, 1 for each color, and they were all Spider-Man. And I saw that and was like, that's interesting. That's an interesting deck building challenge. I've committed to this bit, so I am going to be making 2 more Commander decks after this. But let's focus on this. This is the blue one, mono blue. No one's ever had a problem with mono blue at all. So let's talk about the Commander. This is Spider-Man 2099 Miguel O'Hara. They are a 5-mana 4/4 with, when Spider-Man 2099 enters, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand, and whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. So it has a bounce effect, which is not critical to this deck, and it has what I'm calling the Bident of Thassa at home. This deck is about drawing cards and benefiting from that, outside of just drawing the cards. There's cards that specifically like when you draw cards. Let's just dive in, shall we? All right, starting out, we're gonna talk about some of the plan cards, right? We got Chasm Skulker. It's 3-mana 1/1. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on Chasm Skulker. When Chasm Skulker dies, create X 1/1 blue squid creature tokens with Island Walk, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on Chasm Skulker. It's not hard to get 20 1/1 counters on this thing. I did have a playtest where I was able to swing unblockable 20/20 double strike damage at my last remaining opponent and win the game. It is a staple in card draw decks for a reason. Next, we've got Ominous Seas. This is an awesome enchantment. It is a 2-mana enchantment that says whenever you draw a card, put a Foreshadow counter on Ominous Seas. Remove 8 Foreshadow counters from Ominous Seas, create an 8/8 blue Kraken creature token. A 2-mana enchantment, and you're gonna be drawing a lot of cards. Chances are you're gonna be making some 8/8 Krakens with this pretty easily. Next is a card that actually came with the welcome deck, and that is Lila Holographic Assistant. This is a 4-mana 2/2 that says whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. And this is kind of like an alternate commander for this deck, because guess what? Spoiler alert, there's a lot of card draw. There's a lot of card draw in this deck, and it's not hard to put a lot of counters on creatures that I control because of Lila. Next is a win con in the form of Psychosis Crawler. This is a 5-mana artifact creature. Psychosis Crawler's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand, and whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. It's just a win con. If I can put this out, draw a bunch of cards, kill my opponents, bada bing bada boom, there you go. And finally, we have Mask of the Schemer. This is a 3-mana equipment that says whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, it connives X, where X is the amount of damage it dealt to that player. Being able to just draw 7, 8, 10, 20 from the Chasm Skulker, being able to draw that many cards on combat damage is crazy. Remember the Psychosis Crawler? Yeah. Every card you draw off the connive trigger is going to cause each opponent to lose 1 life. Moving on, let's talk about card advantage. And that's an interesting category for this deck, because the commander is card advantage. Most of the plan cards are card advantage. It's kind of built into the deck already. So I went with some interesting choices. First up, we have Transit Mage. This is a 3-mana 2/2 with when this creature enters, you may search your library for an artifact card with mana value 4 or 5, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. I consider tutors the ultimate card advantage because you are looking for a thing that you want. You're not just drawing a card and hoping you get it, you are finding it. And this is specifically good for finding Psychosis Crawler. So, do I want to get my win con? I can put out the Transit Mage and find my win con. Next we have Copy Crook. This is a 4-mana 0/0 with you may have Copy Crook enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it has whenever this creature attacks, it connives. So it has the connive trigger where when it attacks, I draw a card and discard a card. So I am cycling through the top of my deck, so there's a bit of card advantage there, but what's really cool about it is that I can just have it enter as any other creature on the board. It can enter as a creature that draws me cards. I can also have it come in as one of my opponent's really big problems. I put this in the card advantage, but it's really It's really kind of just whatever it wants to be, which is fun. Then we have Unctus. Unctus Grand Metatect. That's a hard one to say. 3 mana, 2/4. Other blue creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. This is also sort of a secondary commander in the deck because all the creatures, basically all the creatures, are going to be blue. Let's move on to Ramp. And I got a few silly little choices here. First, we've got Irith of the Healing House. You might be like, wait a second, that's not a mana dork. What are you talking about, Ramp? Well, let me show you. It's a 3 mana 1/4 with tap. Untap another target permanent. You know what's a permanent? A land. So you can use this to tap one of your many islands and get 1 extra mana. Or you can tap it, untap 2 other target legendary creatures. Notably, none of that says that you control. And that's interesting, and I like that. Then we have Poo Poo UFO. 2 mana 0/4. This is from the Final Fantasy set. It's a flyer, which is awesome. It's a 0/4 flyer for 2 mana, and it has tap. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So obviously summoning sick, it comes out, you can't do it that turn, but on your next turn, hey, you gotta put another land down. And because you're gonna be drawing so many cards, chances are you're gonna have some extra lands in your hand. At the very worst, it's a good blocker for 2 mana. There's a lot of value there. And then this one is so cool. High Tide. This is a 1 mana instant, costs 1 blue. Until end of turn, all islands produce an additional 1 blue mana when tapped for mana. Later in the game, you can get a whole bunch of mana. You can get a ton of mana. You draw like 15 cards, play this. Oh, guess what? Oops, I guess I can play all 15 of these cards. On to my favorite category, Targeted Disruption. Now you might be thinking, oh, it's just 3 counterspells here. No. Not my favorites. Frogify. This is a 2 mana enchantment, has enchant creature. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a blue frog creature with base power and toughness 1/1. That's just fun. Look at that art. Look at that art. I love an enchantment that just nullifies a problem, you know? I really do. I really do. Now, actual removal, we have Resculpt. Resculpt is a 2 mana instant, exile target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. I mean, come on. You have an exile instant in blue. Again, getting around that pesky indestructible with exile. All right, the last one that I chose, it costs 2 blue. We know what's gonna happen. Counterspell, psych! Just kidding, it's a redirect. It is 2 mana, instant. You may choose new targets for target spell. It's pretty simple. It's kind of like a counterspell, but instead of stopping it, you're like, nah, it goes over there instead. Send it that way. Redirect is one of my favorites. This is one of my favorite blue spells, and I think everybody should be running it. It's so much more fun than a counterspell. Obviously, counterspell is more powerful for the most part, but if somebody's like target removing something of yours, oh, guess what? No, they're target removing their own thing. It's time for Mass Disruption. This is a mono blue deck. There's gonna be an Aetherize, okay? If you're running mono blue, the deck's gonna have an Aetherize and probably an Aether Spouts, which is in this deck. I do end up using this in the playtest that you'll see in a little bit here, but I didn't do it very wisely, and I acknowledged that in the video. in the playtest, I said, I was like, this is probably stupid, and it was. But if you save these for like some of the last turns in the game, it will win you a game. Then we have Deep Channel Mentor, and this is a 6 mana 2/2. It is a steep casting cost, but it says blue creatures you control are unblockable. All blue creatures you control. That's kind of crazy. Like, yeah, there's a lot of like individual like unblockable things in this deck, but to give every blue creature unblockable with this thing is crazy. And then my favorite in this deck, Dissipation Field. This is a 4 mana enchantment. Whenever a permanent deals damage to you, return it to its owner's hand. Funnily enough, this does show up in the playtest, but not from my deck. And it proved to be very interesting. This is incredibly good. It stops people from swinging at you, and it stops people from doing burn damage to all opponents. Then we have a couple of honorable mentions here. First up is Feywild Visitor. This is a 3-mana enchantment background, and it's actually the background to a Pauper commander deck that I have. But this says, commander creatures you own have whenever one or more non-token creatures you control deal common damage to a player, you create a 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature token with flying. And that's just like kind of great. And last but not least, Stratascythe. If you're building a mono-colored deck, you best be putting a Stratascythe in that deck. This is a 3-mana equipment with Imprint. When Stratascythe enters the battlefield, search your library for a land card, exile it, then shuffle your library. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land on the battlefield with the same name as the exiled card. Not just your battlefield, all battlefields. Any monocolor deck, put a Stratascythe in there. So those are some of my favorite cards that I added to this deck, but how does it run? Well, let's find out. I went on Spell Table and played a real game against real human people with this deck. And I didn't record their voice or their video in any way, shape, or form, so you're only going to be seeing my side of it, but I will be sure to add cards and comments of notable moments in the game so you can keep up with what's going on. I will draw for turn. I will play an island, and I will pass. Do an island, put out a Mind Stone. Ooh, Unstoppable Slasher. Oh boy. I'm gonna play an island. I'll do 2 to put out a Prismatic Lens. Let's go ahead and do 3 for a Transit Mage. When it enters, I may search my library for an artifact with CMC 4 or 5, reveal it, put it into my hand, then shuffle. Get a blocker on board for that slasher. I went for a Psychosis Crawler. All right, go tutor for a basic. Yeah. Tutor for a basic, put it tapped. This is a 2/2. All right, I'll block with the Transit Mage and let it die. Can't let that Unstoppable Slasher through. All right, I want to do an island for turn. A Curiosity Crafter. 3/3 flyer. I have no maximum hand size, and whenever a creature token I control deals combat damage to a player, I draw a card. I think that's all I'm going to do for now. I'll pass there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll cast my commander. When he enters, I will have to bounce a creature. I'm going to go ahead and do Verondis. Luke, do you have any reach or flying? A 3/3 in the air over at you. On damage, Miguel will draw me a card. And I'll play an island for turn. Pay another 2 to put out a Goldvein Pick. And with that, I'll pass. Okay, I have an Unstoppable Slasher now. And it's goated. Okay, there we go. I will play an island for turn. Pay 1 to equip the Goldvein Pick to the Curiosity Crafter. Question about John. This is now just under my control fully? Okay. And it has 2 1/1 counters on it. 1, 2, 3 to put out a Fire Shrieker. I'm putting the Fire Shrieker on the bird. I will go to combat. This is goated Cider. You've got the Slasher coming at you. And then I'll declare the Curiosity Crafter over at Blade Rune. The Crafter is a 4/4 with double strike in the air. First strike damage, Miguel will see damage. I'll draw a card, and I will make a treasure token. Then second strike damage, I will draw another card and make another treasure token. And then this doesn't come through, but it dies. I turn it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. So this goes back to Luke. I'll pass turn. Dragon Spirit is a 5/4, and it has trample. I don't want to lose Miguel right now, so I'll just take the 5. So your commander is coming at me as a 3/3. Ooh, you have open mana. I'm gonna declare Miguel 4/4 as my blocker. Okay, so Invigorate. And then what was that other one that you cast that pumped it? Before damage, I'll pay 2 to cast Whoosh, and I will bounce your commander back to your hand. It would have been a lot of damage. Would have been, what, 10 trample commander? Oh my god. Given the Desecration Elemental over to Cider. Dang, that's a crazy play. I will play an island. I'm just gonna go to combat. Cider, you don't have any reach or flying, right? I might as well take advantage while you don't have any flying dragons. Curiosity Crafter is going to come over at you. It's a 4/4 flyer with double strike. First strike damage, I'll draw a card off Miguel and create a treasure token. And then second strike damage, I will draw another card off of Miguel and create another treasure token. Did I play a land for turn? I'm trying to remember if I didn't update my turn counter or not. I'll play a land for turn. Hey, Cider, if I don't cast any spells, will you send that spider somewhere else? I'm a chill guy. I want to pass, you know? I'm just gonna swing my creature and pass turn. Wait, is that the spider? I thought we made a deal, friend. Alright, you gonna send anybody else? I will pay 1 to sack the Mind Stone to draw a card. It's an 8/8. Oh, this is dumb, but I'm gonna do it. I will Aetherize. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm casting, you still have to sacrifice a creature. You can sacrifice the spider, and then it would go to a graveyard and not be put back on the board. Oh, that's right! Oh, it can't be sacrificed! Oh, that's crazy. Ooh. Probably should have just taken the 8. What was that one called again? Mind Rack Demon. Okay, so I got the Mind Rack Demon. Play an island for turn. I'll pay 5 to bring out the Psychosis Crawler. This one's power and toughness is each equal to the number of cards in my hand, which is currently 4. And whenever I draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. I'll do 3 for Traveler's Cloak. I'm going to enchant a creature. When this enters, I'll choose a land type. I'm going to choose Forest. Enchanted creature has Landwalk of the chosen type. I will choose to put it on Miguel. When this enters, I'll draw a card. And off card draw, you'll each take 1. Miguel over at Cider, the Curiosity Crafter over at Luke, and the Mind Rack Demon over at Blade Rune. We have to resolve some draw triggers here. First strike damage, I will draw a card and create a treasure. On card draw, you each lose 1. And then second strike, I have 3 instances. So I will draw 3 cards. You'll each lose 3 more, and I'll make 1 more treasure. I'll pay 2, and I'll put out a poo-poo UFO. With that, I will go ahead and pass the turn. That thing's about to pop off like crazy, isn't it? I'll pay 2, and I'm going to attempt to resculpt, targeting Valkis. So it'll exile target artifact or creature its controller creates a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. You said each player sacrifices a permanent? Okay. I'll just dump one of these treasures. Ooh, Dissipation Field. Yeah, that's a problem for me. Okay. So all creatures attack Cider, each combat if able. Man, that is brutal. Draw for turn. Psychosis Crawler will deal 1 damage to each player, and then Dissipation Field will bounce it back to my hand. Oops, I did a misplay. So here's the thing. Psychosis Crawler doesn't deal damage. It makes people lose life, so it wouldn't actually be bounced to my hand due to Dissipation Field. Anyways, back to the game. Yeah, I'm going to put out the Chasm Skulker. I will just go to combat. This is summoning 6. These all have to attack the same player. Cider, unfortunately, this all has to come at you. So you'll go down to 1. First strike damage, I'll draw a card. I'll create a treasure. And Chasm Skulker will get a counter. It'll be 1 more instance of an opponent taking combat damage. So I'll draw 1, create a treasure, and Chasm Skulker will get a counter. And I will put the Psychosis Crawler back onto the board. 8 cards in grip, so it'll be an 8/8. And I will pass there. Full swinging at Luke. Check this out. I'm gonna pay 1, and I'm gonna tap 1 of Luke's creatures. Tap the Unstoppable Slasher. You said that was 32 trample damage over at Luke? That's awesome. Ooh, Banner of Kinship. Yeah, that's a big hit. Everything on me. Alright, what all do I have? Just putting some dice out here to indicate. Do they have trample? Oh, then I think that's probably game. Let me see here. I can block 3. I can block 10 of that damage. Blade Rune, what is the most problematic creature on your board state? I'm gonna double block the Child of the Pact. with these. This is 10 total, so that'll die. These will die. Hey, I get to make 2 squids, and then I will die to trample damage. Full throttle for a second combat. 2 additional combats. 1 blocker and 1 life. There it is, Blade Rune. Werewolves take it. It came down to the wire. That was a good game. And there you have it. That's how the deck runs. As you can tell, it actually ran pretty well. I really only lost, I would say, because I used an Aetherize just way too soon. And listen, I said it in the moment. I said, this is probably stupid, but I'm going to Aetherize. I stopped 8 damage earlier in the game instead of stopping 30 trample lethal. Other than that, the deck did run really well. I had a lot of good interaction. There were some good redirects and good bounces, and overall, I think the deck ran pretty efficiently. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the video, my goal was to add $25 worth of cards to make this a commander deck, and the total card market value for all of the cards added comes to $22.99. Now, obviously, if you're going to be buying all of these cards, you're going to pay a little bit extra because of shipping, taxes, fees, stuff like that. But I was able to put everything onto Mana Pool, use their card optimizing feature, and get it down to under $40 for all of the upgrades. And if, let's say, you have a bunch of islands laying around, it's $35. That is still under the price of a pre-con. And that's ultimately the goal with these decks, is that they are as cheap or cheaper than a pre-con. If you happen to get one of the welcome decks, you want to upgrade it, they didn't have pre-cons for the Spider-Man set, this is an option. All right, that's gonna be it for the blue welcome deck commander upgrade. If you missed it, I did do welcome deck upgrades for both Miles Morales as well as Peter Parker, so those are on the channel. I'll have those linked somewhere, whether in the description or in those little info card or the end screen here. And we have red and black left. The finish line is in sight. I have these 2 decks to go, so stick around if you want to see some commander decks made for these. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.